live from Las Vegas at the GCA show. After 2 years of hiatus, we're back in Vegas, world's largest cardboard trade show booth. Live here in Martinsville, Indiana, live from Norwood Royal Cigars.
When you guys said, you know, we want you to come on the show once a month, I was like, dude, this is it.
Happy afternoon here from cloudy Florida.
Happy afternoon.
Happy afternoon.
Presented by Kristoff Cigars, along with Hiram Solomon Cigars, and coming to you live from the Corona Cigar Company studios.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And here we are again. Wow. It's amazing people haven't gotten tired of us.
Trying to figure something out here. With,
We have a little technical issue going on. One set of phones aren't working. And Frank is working on this diligently. Oh, you killed me. Oh, got it. Okay. Well, there's nothing worse than dead air here. Hello? Yep. Well, it's working. It's working. All right. Check it out, Frank. See if those are working. Check your phones.
Hello,
Yeah. Okay.
Joe, you working? I don't hear you.
No, I can't hear you now.
It's like one of the phones, for whatever reason. Well,
Wow.
catch a tiger by the toe. Interesting.
Yeah. We got some problems here all of a sudden.
Weird. One.
Anyway, it's a beautiful day here in Florida, like every day. And of course, we're in our favorite place, Corona Cigar Lounge.
2. That's me. Joe is number 3. 3. Let's go to 4, Joe. It's like 2 mics only want to work.
That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Okay, a little technical difficulty happening.
Joe, can
No, we don't
Joe
hear
is out
Joe.
now.
Joe is non-existent.
Oh,
Sorry, everybody. We're having some board issues. I might have to do a reboot on the board. So you may hear absolutely nothing for a second.
like they have been.
Well, not really. Yeah. Folks, this is why live podcasts are fun,
Exactly.
because this kind of stuff happens. So if you hear dead air for a moment, it's not because we don't love you. It's because our board doesn't love us.
Yeah.
So it's nothing like restart. Restart is a magical thing. So be right back in a second.
Hang
So
in
hold
there,
on.
please.
You could watch us looking absolutely dumbfounded.
Because we are.
think you had the same,
Okay, wait a
same
minute.
issue
Here we
last
go.
time you guys were here. We couldn't hear you guys
Now,
initially.
how's that, guys? It
Can you
came
hear
back
us?
with the mic muted. Now we're back. All right. Reload. We rebooted. How's that, Ron? Do you hear us now? See, we're getting all the bugs out before we actually pull people in. We could do this with Joe here. Okay, we're good now.
I could be the guinea pig.
Exactly.
We're okay.
I think so.
I think
Okay,
we're good.
Ronnie says we're good now.
If Ronnie says we're good, we're good. Sorry about that, folks.
Okay, now we got to start everything all over again.
Yeah, we'll reboot. We'll restart. We'll go back to the opening and then restart, and things should be better. Love Frank's head. Thanks. Well, that's because I was like this. You can see the top of my shine. No, I left my water in San Francisco.
And I left my family in Chicago. Like I was saying, I'm with these guys. And I don't think I'm going back to Chicago. This is the mecca of cigars and whiskey. The selection here is insane. I'm going to buy that bottle of Kaninvi.
Yeah, Joe found a bottle that he can't find
Where
anywhere.
Where do you find Kaninvi when you're on the hunt? Never. And I found a bottle of Kaninvi 23. It's a 375 mil, but I'm going to grab it.
He's going to grab it, but he doesn't realize that he can't bring it in his backpack back to Chicago on the flight tomorrow. So he's left me in charge of shipping.
That's
so
what friends are for. We'll take care of it.
Taking a big gamble
he's
here.
taking a big gamble.
We'll take
I'm
care
going to
of it
leave
for
this
you.
nice bottle with these chooches.
But you know, a lot of stuff gets lost in the mail truck.
And of course, while I was procrastinating, trying to get the board working and kicking out the kinks, for whatever reason, it got a little bit, crazy.
Vic's
there's
on.
Vic.
What's up, Vic?
Hey, Vic.
Hello there, Vic. How are you? I know that you're in Tampa.
You're 2 hours away. Do you have a car? You
I think
get here
Vic and
before everything starts.
Vic and I left for Florida, right, the same day, same time, but he's in Tampa. And
He's
I'm
in
here.
Tampa, and he's over at the JC
Newman factory. Nice.
So I saw some pictures, Vic. It looks like you're learning how to roll.
Yeah.
I like that. So you're going to be rolling your next release, I hear. So we'll be able to promote you rolling your own cigars. I like that.
That's pretty cool.
Anytime you get a retail shop owner rolling his own cigars, and let's face it, he has Oscar rolling for him. Not rolling for him. He's blending for him. Blending for him. As Ronnie would put.
Well, what's the mixture?
The mixture. Ronnie created a new term for blending. He says the mixing. The new mixing of cigars. So, he coined a new phrase, as he always does. That's
Vic, I'll roll cigars for you. I'm going to roll one. I'm going to take one. And then the other one goes in the box.
One for me, one for you. Yeah.
Exactly. So, tonight, Dalmore, Cigar Malt, and Michael Herklots with Ferio Tego, and a pairing that was really a pairing kind of meant to be in heaven, but we actually can enjoy it here in our own little
this
slice
is paradise.
in our own little slice.
You guys are going to love that Dalmore cigar malt. That was actually the first pairing review. I did it with Aroma Craft Whiskey Rebellion cigar, and sipping on that cigar malt, you realize this is going to pair well with any cigar.
Right.
You guys are going to love it.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Good. I'm sure people are getting ready.
Yep.
Like I said, the event starts between 7 and 9. We're going to see if we can grab Ben or Michael before the event starts. If we can't grab them and bring them over, we'll kind of work our way through the event and, take a little break here and there, come back, try to do that. I don't know. We'll have somebody speaking. Bob, he forgets that he actually can speak.
Yeah. Oh, I'll take your lighter. Yeah, I'm going to do a relight here too.
Yeah, because we're too busy, panicking to get the podcast rolling where audio actually is part of it. But we were actually doing a closed caption silent movie. Yes. We went back to the silent movie
We
days.
just need the organ playing now,
Oh, God. No, I mean, the great thing about being here at Corona is that you're exposed to not only the largest variety of cigars that you'll ever find, but obviously their whiskeys, bourbons,
everything.
Everything. The bar here is bar none.
Well,
literally.
that's why we live here.
Yeah,
This is
it
why
is.
we live here.
There is a reason why we do spend a lot of our time here at Corona.
I saw they have a Balvenie 30 behind the bar. There's a Lafroig 25. Just some very nice selections.
And
behind the
there's
bar
Louis
here.
sitting on the top shelf.
Yes.
So
Plus, gotta have a
just
bottle of
Pappy.
Louis.
Pappy is
Happy.
Pappy's waiting to be had. Maybe in the next lifetime we'll be able to. When Bob retires a second time,
we got to try.
when he goes on his second retirement,
we got to try some of their own bottlings here. Right
yeah,
here.
and actually, which was awesome, and we really have to thank
Peerless Rye.
Peerless Rye,
And it was an Old Forester, a single barrel, the barrel proof, which was awesome.
Oh, tremendous!
Awesome. That was probably my second or third time trying it, and it's amazing every time.
It was really good.
Never got my hands on a bottle, but
Yeah, that was Hunter giving
Yeah.
us a little sample here to try it. It was fantastic. Jeff spends a lot of time in Kentucky. He's getting personally crafted, incredible bourbon whiskeys.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, I want his job.
yeah, I think everybody does.
It'd be a nice job.
Although I'm sure it comes with headaches.
Yeah, are they hiring? Because I think I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
So what happened was, I decided to surprise these guys because
Yes.
I really wanted to meet them in person.
What does he regret it?
He
Yeah.
does. He does. He does.
They've actually got me chained to the table. They wouldn't let me leave.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Anytime you do a live podcast, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
It just is part of the inherent issues that come with live.
Right.
If we tape this, we remove all of that nonsense that happened in the beginning, and then all you see is we come back and we're like normal. But since we are a non,
You haven't been normal in years.
Well, you have to define normal first for the audience.
we are a non-traditional.
That's up for interpretation.
We are a non-traditional.
I've been here since yesterday. There's nothing normal going on here, guys. Nothing normal.
We're a non-traditional podcast. What I mean by that is a lot of things happen on the show that you really don't happen on most shows. And good, bad, and indifferent, they do happen on our show. So I think that's what makes us unique. A lot of podcasts, it's hard to do this where you have to set up, go somewhere, and be mobile.
Well, a lot of people aren't mobile. Plain
Right.
and simple. They like the comfort of their
We're a
home
studio,
or
we're a
studio,
studio,
and
and
that's
there's
where they
nothing
stay.
wrong with that. I mean,
No.
there's comfort
wrong.
in that,
Sure.
no doubt. So we're made to feel a little uncomfortable, which makes it a better show.
And again, I've been here since yesterday. I've been uncomfortable the whole time.
Yeah, the only thing that was comfortable was the bed that he slept on. That mattress.
Yeah, I
has
woke
gotten-
up this morning. Like, where am I? Where am I?
No, that's what happens here at the Great Lakes Smoke Show. We love bringing you our insane sense of
Humor. Leave it at that.
yes, humor. But again, it's always blended with
It's a mixture. It's a mixture.
no, it's blended with incredibly good information because we have someone who's I'm going to call him our whiskey expert,
Yeah,
our guy.
yeah.
And we happen to have him sitting right next to us, Bob. How lucky are we?
Well, it's because I'm chained to the table, though. I
He's-
can't go anywhere.
He's changed. We got one leg to the table, and that's how it works. So Joe is now a prisoner of the Great Lakes Smoke Show. Little did he know that once he made the trip to Florida, that he was never going to leave.
He didn't
Right.
know that.
He didn't know that. He didn't know that. But we are going to be live Saturday
Yeah. One
from
more time.
Sanford.
Thank you.
We're getting obviously great service because here at Corona, at all Jeff's lounges,
Nothing
his
but
staff
the best.
is unbelievable. Not only do they know their product, they're
know their
always
customers,
and
too.
they know
Yeah.
their customers. They really do. They know their customers. They understand us. And
Just
Bob,
talking to Hunter for a little bit. The
Right.
whiskey guy.
Hunter
You know, he
really
knows-
knows a lot.
Yeah,
He
he
does.
knows his shit.
Very
I had a nice
knowledgeable
little
guy.
conversation with him.
Yeah.
and he gave us those nice samples just to get the mojo started here.
Yeah.
We did, like I said, it was a Peerless Rye. I've had Peerless Rye before. I wasn't a fan of it, but it was their pick on the barrel, and it was 10 times better. Absolutely.
There you go. And that goes to Jeff and his ability to really hone in on a product that he's proud to sell at his lounge.
Well, Jeff does everything right. I mean, you know,
yeah.
You're not going to get beaten anyway.
No, he's not. You know, again, we're very fortunate to have Jeff as our marquee sponsor. We're grateful, and you know, we're looking forward to a long relationship where, you know, hey, he does. I think the funniest thing is the first time that we had Jeff on the podcast. This is great. You guys got to go back and see our first podcast with Jeff. It was Bob and I it was not this past February, the previous February, right?
Gee, I don't.
I'm trying to think.
Wasn't it
last year? Last year.
Yeah.
Last year.
It was last year.
And so Jeff is on. He's in his home office, and he's all set up. And now Bob and I are freezing because it was one of the coldest nights in Florida. It was like 35 degrees. We're out on the lanai. Unheard of. And of course, we didn't have a nice backdrop to work with. So we were doing like a virtual kind of backdrop, and we were ghosting in and out. So Bob was kind of coming in and out. We were like, you know,
it reminded me of Star Trek, man. When
it was beam me up.
Yeah, Scotty didn't quite get you in on the pad, you know.
Exactly. And I think Jeff was like, he was taken back by how much fun he had on the show, and we had a great time. And from there, it just, you know, it went from there. So we're very fortunate. We're very lucky to have Jeff.
Good friend.
Yes.
In this place, I've never seen so many cigars in my life. I mean, just rows and rows of this endless cigars. There's boxes everywhere around this place. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And the service is great. Obviously, you guys get treated very well here, and I'm with these guys. I'm getting treated very well here, and I'm loving it.
By the way, when is your furniture arriving? You've sent the movers there already, right?
Yeah, but I can't get a U-Haul truck in Illinois to move my stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So. Yep.
So you might get stuck there for a few more years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all right. We have planes. Come back and forth.
There you go. Yeah, this place is great. I don't want to go back. The weather is beautiful. I think, was it Monday night? I was outside having a cigar. It was snowing in Chicago.
Right.
And this morning you were swimming in the pool.
Yes, I was.
Which is,
Yes.
hey, that's
With Frank. I was with Frank.
He was with me. We actually we took a dip in my pool, but the water was a little cold. I don't have a heater, so
It was a little nippy last night. It actually went down to 50 degrees overnight. So, yeah, that temperature in the water temperature definitely
was a little
dipped
it
a
was a
little
little
bit.
chilly.
And we were having a great time on the lanai. We almost missed the podcast last night.
Yeah. That was interesting. We had like a few minutes to go. We had to set everything up. And,
Oh, I know.
wow. Well, that's what happens down here. There's no sense of time. You know.
Well, here
Beat of the drum. Yeah.
We're smoking the proper cigar for a sense of time.
Timeless.
So
Timeless.
this is timeless right here. Ooh, let me spin that around. Ooh, there we go.
Ferio Tego. Is my saying that correct?
Ferio
Tego.
Ferio Tego. There's Ben. There he is. We're going to get him on the podcast.
We're
See,
going
he's
to get
back
you
here.
on, buddy.
Yes. We'll get you
You want
on.
to jump on?
He's
Oh,
got
you
it
got
set
to set
up.
up. Okay.
All right, we'll
All
get
right.
you on, though.
Perfect. Excellent. So they're setting up. You see, they're busy. You know, they're setting
Yeah,
up.
it's
They've
starting
got
to fill up.
Oh yeah, they're filling up. They've got their cups and glasses. Cups. Their glasses, cups.
There's
I
no
don't
cups
know.
here. No plastic here.
When Ronnie's not here, I take over for Ronnie, and I make the Ronnie-isms, Frank-isms. So thank you, Ronnie, for continuing the tradition of Ronnie-isms through me. He's channeling.
It's a virus.
It's a virus. It's like a virus, and it overtakes your body.
Especially when you get a mixture of Ronnie-isms.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When we get that mixture in there.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie, were you surprised last night to see me on the podcast?
I think he was. He was very surprised. Very surprised.
It was a nice surprise. Well, Frank was very surprised when I walked up to his front door. He just woke up from a nap. He's like,
Yeah,
what are you doing? What are you doing here?
Exactly.
He's got a nice gate. He's in like a nice gated community.
Yeah, we have to keep the
riffraff out.
vagabonds out.
I'm trying to do this nice surprise, and I hit the gate with my Uber driver, and I'm like, oh shit. How am I going to get in there? I'm going to have to message him now. It's going to kind of kill the surprise a little bit, but then somebody rolled up, gate opens up, and I'm screaming at my Uber driver, punch it, go, go, go. And I get in there and wake him up from his nap. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to wake you up from your nap.
No, it's okay. I fell asleep. I couldn't. These hard hours that Bob and Ronnie, they're workhorses. They're literally, beating me up with the hours they're making me put in. Anthony James, how are you, Anthony? Hope you are doing well, and thank you for jumping on. We always look forward to seeing you. I know that Big Joe Gulino here is quoting you on his next story that he's written. So, Anthony, thank you very much for contributing, being a part of the show. Like I said, we have no show if we have no folks out there who actually give a damn about what the hell we're saying. So we are very fortunate, Anthony, to have folks like you who we bring a little entertainment, some knowledge, and Anthony loves our commercials. So, we'll probably have to take a little commercial break just for Anthony because I know he likes watching those, and it'll give me a chance to go and take care of business.
Ronnie says that I blew him away with that surprise.
You did.
All right. I think Kyle was upset. I didn't say anything.
Kyle was upset you didn't tell him.
Yeah,
Kyle was upset that he wasn't here.
Yeah, I would be too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the weather down like there?
Well, it's going to be 80 degrees Saturday from what Ronnie was saying.
Yeah.
So
in Chicago, 80 degrees.
Yep. So what are we drinking? Right now we were drinking water because we're waiting to actually try the Dalmore cigar malt.
Cleansing the palate.
We're cleansing the palate. We are cleansing the palate. And
as you can see, they're setting up.
They are
all the tables are ready to go.
See behind us, the glassware has hit the tables. And I'm sure I'll probably do a little swinging around of the action, but we'll be right back. We're going to run from as Ronnie says, from a word from our sponsors.
That works.
We could do that. We could jump to our sponsors, and then we'll be back right after this.
Welcome to GTO Dominican Cigars, a boutique cigar company that artfully blends and creates some of the finest handmade puros from the Cibao Valley in the Dominican Republic. We are fourth-generation manufacturers and growers of tobacco with over 140 years of experience, offering a variety of styles, blends, and strengths. Mild, medium plus, and full-bodied. We would truly consider it an honor for you to experience our cigars. Those who know smoke GTO. R&A Treasures out of Tampa Bay, Florida. The last of a legacy. The last of an inventory of Thomas Cristiano in a warehouse where everything is aged and well kept for all your pipe and smoking needs. Loyalty, passion, courage. These are the founding principles of K by Karen Berger Cigars. The Maduro, the Habano, and the newly rated 93 by Cigar Journal Connecticut. Do yourself a favor and check out this wonderful line of cigars that come from a completely linear company from seed to your hands. It all begins at the very first climate-controlled Rodriguez Olivan cigar factory located in the Dominican Republic. Our two major brands include Don Olivan, which are boutique cigars suited for that individual who takes great pride in something unique. BAMF is our armed forces cigars, designed for that badass mother effer. Not only are you smoking a great premium cigar, a percentage of the proceeds is donated to our heroic men and women in uniform.
And we're back. Look at that.
So it was extremely funny when I got here. Immediately, luckily, I caught you right before you left for dinner.
Yes.
And what was the name of the restaurant that we went
The
to?
Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
So if anybody's ever in the Orlando, Lake Mary area, you have to go to a place called the Lighthouse. The food is incredible. It's actually a fish market.
Slash restaurant. One part is
restaurant.
the fresh food.
So it's very casual, but the food and the cook there, Dave,
Great.
phenomenal.
Stuff. Oh, boy.
Great food. Great food.
The best calamari there are. Really.
Exactly. The best calamari.
The best.
The best.
So right away we go to the restaurant, and Bob's not there yet. I'm like, man, maybe I'll hide in the bathroom
Right.
or something. And Frank gets a little more creative than that.
I go, well, why don't you become the waiter?
Yeah, just go act like you're the server.
Exactly.
So Bob and his wife walk in. They sit down. I just walk over there and I just start throwing silverware on the table like a chooch.
Yeah.
And I'm going around the table, just throwing stuff on the table. And then here come the menus, and Bob is just looking confused as ever. He starts looking at the regular server, like, "What's going on? Who is this guy?" What did I say? I said, "Oh, I'm new here."
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I'm new here, and I'm wearing my cool hat. Kyle's gonna love that I'm wearing the hat. I'm wearing this hat. I'm like, I'm new here, but they gave me this cool hat, and Bob's just looking at me for like 10 minutes, and finally he figured it out, jumped up, gave me a big hug. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
It really was.
Joe is a prankster. That's his next. He says, advertising validated, great, classy presentation. That's why I threw it up there for you, Anthony. I wanted to make sure that, we had that. But I love the fact that you go, Joe is a prankster. And he is. He is. That's what we love about him. That's why he was a great addition to our crew. And it truly is a crew. We're lucky to have Joe. We're lucky to have Jared.
Motley crew.
I had to come down a couple weeks ago when you were doing a pre-show on Instagram. You basically gave me an open invite. You said, we're waiting for you to appear.
Yes.
And last night we had from Rockefeller, Kevin,
yep.
And I was like, you know what? That's an awesome time to just magically appear.
Well, he's a magician, so Joe magically appeared as well. So that's what made for and you know what? It's great to have Joe here because Joe has an incredible knowledge base of whiskey, bourbons, scotches, and that's something that I know myself. I enjoy them, but I don't have that knowledge base. So you're teaching me by being here, and we're all. That's the great thing about.
But we know how to drink.
Well, we've perfected
we're very
that.
knowledgeable on drinking.
We've perfected the drinking part.
Yes,
right.
But
I was actually a gin guy. I was telling you guys,
really?
Tanqueray and tonic. I would just drink that throughout my 20s, and it wasn't until I was about 30 that I started drinking whiskey, about 2015 or so. And so I developed my palate, and it took a while, but now I'm just, I'm extracting all these amazing flavors on my palate, from all these whiskeys, and I'm having a great time with it.
Oh no,
there's a
I
big
agree.
whiskey boom going on. And it kind of led me to, through WBSC, Whiskey, Bourbon, Scotch Enthusiasts, to this magazine, Whiskey Network, which you can subscribe for free. It's whiskeynetwork.net.
Yep.
And that's where I do whiskey and cigar pairing reviews. I do one article a month. Eventually, I linked up with these guys, these chooches.
Yes.
And that actually helped me get better at doing these reviews.
Well, good.
Yeah, because I'm learning. I'm learning from
everyone
you guys.
wins here.
Yeah,
it's a win-win.
Right, absolutely.
And
it's a good mixture.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
it's a great mix. As Ronnie would say, it's a great mixture.
Yeah.
When you're blending, you're mixing, and you are, but it's actually called blending, not mixing. Like a bartender mixes drinks.
Yeah.
And a high-end, I'll call it a high-end bartender, would be a mixologist because they become like an expert in
Right.
the bartending field.
Mhm.
So blenders of the scotches, the whiskeys, those are blenders, just like a great blender with cigars. So,
Absolutely.
And there's some incredible blended scotches out there.
right.
I mean, people sometimes overlook them because it's they get a bad rap, basically, the
Right.
blends. Everybody wants to go towards the single malts, you know, but pay attention to those blends, especially the newer ones hitting the shelves.
Right. I mean, what's interesting, yesterday we were smoking
And drinking.
smoking and drinking. But Joe brought a bottle of bourbon, which I've never seen before. Bob has never had. We've never had it.
No, I didn't have it.
McFarland, 12 year
McFarland 12 year, and it was finished in a Cabernet Sauvignon cask.
cask.
And it had a nice sweet wine note to it in the back end, and
Yep.
it paired well with both cigars that we did last night.
Right.
It kind of warmed up with
Yep.
that Camacho, Connecticut.
Yep. We started with that.
and then we moved to that Rockefeller, the Habano.
Right.
That
And
really
Two
set
different,
it off.
two
I mean,
different
that set
experiences,
it off.
right?
two totally different experiences. Same whiskey,
Right.
right? Same whiskey.
Yep.
I think we finished the bottle.
We did
And that's
finish
why I
it.
We
woke
did
up
finish
this morning.
Where am I?
Like night sweats. Like, where am I?
Exactly. But that goes to show you that in one sitting, I'll call it, two cigars, same whiskey, two different experiences.
Absolutely.
Two different experiences. So don't be afraid to try different things and pair them with the same thing, and do your own like taste test, because one may complement, one may, and that's what we thought about the Camacho Connecticut with that bourbon. They were, what I would like to say, they were on par.
Yeah, neither one
Like,
canceled the other one
neither
out.
one canceled the other one
They,
out.
they
So
worked well together.
but it didn't elevate the experience. It kept it at a, I'll call it, it kept it within a bandwidth
Right, right.
of flavor, right? And then all of a sudden, when we smoked the Habano by Rockefeller,
Man, that
all of
went
a
up.
sudden
Ramped up.
ramped up the
Very
flavor.
So many different notes came out. It
Yes.
was really quite interesting to do. It
Mhm.
really was.
And when I arrived here, I threw some undies in a backpack and I hit the road, right?
Right.
So all I had was my backpack. I didn't do a carry. I didn't check a bag, so I couldn't bring any bottles with me. So as soon as I got here, about 11 o'clock yesterday in the morning, I went right to Total Wines in Orlando, and the whiskey guy there was phenomenal. Before I know it, I was there for 2 hours just talking to this guy about whiskey, and he was really turning me on to that McFarland 12-year. It literally had a sign on the shelf, pairs well with a cigar.
Right.
So I'm like, okay.
Can't go wrong with that
Yeah.
one, right?
Let me try that.
Yeah. So I grabbed that bottle, and I'm glad we did. Cause
Oh, my God.
It was
It was,
delicious.
it was a great bottle of bourbon. And if you're out there shopping for bourbon, we would recommend it.
Absolutely.
highly.
I've never seen it in Chicago.
No.
I've never seen it on the shelf in Chicago. That was my first time actually seeing it on the shelf. And I'm like, you know what? I like to try new things.
Right.
You know, I've been on a Scotch kick lately, but you know what? I'm like, yeah, why not grab a bourbon? You know, I know, Bob, you're a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
So I know you really enjoyed it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I
really-
loved it too.
Yeah.
I really
And
did.
it
You guys
wasn't-
are going back for more bottles.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
think
Yes.
so. But what's interesting, when you drink, at least I do, when I drink, I take a nice swig of it. This was more of a
Perfect.
of a sipping bourbon.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
it reminded me of like when you have a cognac. You know, just kind of like you wet your tongue. You're getting all
Right.
those notes, and that's the same thing with this bourbon. You didn't want to drink it fast. You just wanted
Right.
to take your time with it.
There's
go
my-
slow. Oh.
Get your butt in here, Michael.
Sorry, fellas.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Your traffic was
What's happening? How
Do you
are
have a
man?
minute before you start? Good. Perfect. Come
I'm
on
going to
in.
step off so
All
I
right.
can jump
Perfect.
Where's that
Well, get-
lighter? Where's the lighter?
A lighter? Joe stole your
Joe,
lighter.
you got the lighter?
Oh, yeah, I have it. I'll give it back to you. in a second.
Come on in.
Oh, man.
And here he
Sound good,
is,
fellas?
the one, the only,
There we go.
the one, the only Michael Herklots. How are you, Michael?
Rocking and rolling.
Holy cow. I'm like,
Thank you so
We've been
much.
trying to hook up
I know.
on Instagram for.
I know. It's been bonkers.
I know, but I'm like, you're going to be in Orlando?
When you sent that, I was like, you know what?
Thank
This
you.
is how perfect is this?
Well, it made it
Absolutely
easy.
perfect.
It made it easy. I mean, I've seen you everywhere, literally.
Yep.
I probably saw you when you were over at Nat Sherman in New York
Yep.
because we used to live there. I lived in New Jersey. Bob lived in Queens.
Where were you?
Jackson Heights.
I was in Astoria for
Were you?
almost 20 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. What street?
At the end, 21st Avenue and 23rd Street, but I was 37th Street between Broadway and 34th Avenue for forever.
I know it very well. Yeah.
That is hysterical.
And now I'm in New Jersey. Where were you in New Jersey?
We were in Wayne.
I'm in Ridgewood.
Oh, in Redwood.
Oh,
sure.
wow. Okay.
So now
This is
you're
getting ridiculous.
This is getting
really
like crazy.
getting
This is like stupid. So
You guys
we
are
were
smoking Prestige. I'm smoking Prestige.
okay. There you go.
What to do?
So tell us a little bit.
What are we on right now? What are we streaming
What
on?
are we streaming
On
on? We're
everything.
streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch.
Let me share this on Facebook right
There
now.
you go. And you'll see that because everything we do here is very professional. You know, one thing about our show is we take things very seriously.
First class.
First class.
1,000%.
1,000% first class.
Well, then we
So,
should cheers
have to
pinkies up,
toast.
no?
Yes. Pinkies up. First
Salud.
class. Salud.
Salud.
Chentan.
Thank you for the support. Huh?
Oh,
really.
of course.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
Thank you to everyone. Ferio Tego.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Not a bad way to start, huh?
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
and what really sucks is that this is the second night I have to do this.
Oh.
And I have to do it again
I
tomorrow.
wouldn't want your
No.
job.
It's not fair.
No way.
It's not.
No
It's
way.
not.
But we do what we
You
have to do.
You should never, ever do
It's
this.
tough.
This is
It's
a
tough.
terrible
We do what we have
lifestyle.
to do.
It's a terrible lifestyle that you chose.
Yeah.
It is. Now, the one thing that I love about you, Michael, is, and
Thank you.
look at the graphics that we go ahead and produce.
Look at this.
I mean, high end, nothing but the best.
I feel like this is like a real network production here.
Well, a quasi real network production, but we try.
We try hard.
We try.
Listen, all kidding aside, you guys do a great job.
Oh,
and
thank
to put
Thank you.
real thoughtful content together.
Right.
You know, lots of people throw content out.
Yes.
Not a lot of people, not enough people
Mhm.
are as thoughtful about trying to do it in a way that advocates for brands, advocates for industry, advocates for
Right.
education,
Right.
advocates for consumers.
Yes.
It's always kind of advocating for their own platform.
Mhm.
And I think outside looking in, sometimes the self-serving approach to grow one's platform is a harder road than when you just
absolutely.
truly
I
try
agree.
and help people grow their business and get messages out and do all, it feels better. It feels more positive.
It
It feels
feels
more
right.
authentic.
Yes, and it's authentic, and that's one thing about us is that we're very authentic, almost to a fault.
I don't think there's such a thing, because if you look at even the craziest of characters, it is their authenticity that ultimately people really gravitate to, particularly if they're connected to brand.
Right.
And I think of some of my best friends in this business that I've grown up with, Jonathan Drew, Matt
Right.
Booth, Pete Johnson. These are guys who are as authentic as it gets,
Yes.
unapologetically.
Right.
Rocky.
Oh,
you
yes.
know, and I've known all of those guys from when they started, going door to door trying to sell.
And they've been the same the whole time.
What you see is what you get with those guys.
Yes. And that's the beauty of it. And a lot of people probably, I don't know, well, you got a ton of followers. And I'm sure a lot of them know that you're also a foodie. Very much so.
Foodie.
Yep. You're a
Wino.
foodie. Wino. Yes. So
Yep.
I remember this was probably, I'm going to say about 6 months ago. I responded to one of the dishes that you put out there. And it was a sausage and
Broccoli Rob.
broccoli Rob. You remember and you corrected me on the pasta.
I actually, by the way, that dish, I mean,
it's
it's one of like 7 I make.
right,
You know, if it's below the stove and into the oven,
right.
it's not for me.
No,
Can't do it.
I'm with you.
I got to be on top of the stove,
Mhm.
and everything is basically a pasta, a meat, and a green.
Right.
That's really all I
Perfect.
do.
Everything
But
in
the
there.
Orchietti Broccoli Rob sausage is my go-to. Dave Garofalo, who owns Two Guys Smoke Shop
Yep.
up in New Hampshire, he does the Cigar Authority podcast. They did a cookbook with all cigar people
That's
contributing
That's
their
fantastic.
recipes. So I contributed that recipe. So if you want to know how to make
There you go. Buy
organic
the
Rocky
book.
Robin sausage, Herklots style,
Because you know why? You know what pasta I said it was? You remember? I said it was a capelletti. And
yeah.
and that's why he goes, it's orecchiette.
Orecchiette.
I go, oh, he got me on that.
Close.
It
Close
was
cigar.
close.
Wow.
So this is
Nothing
going to be great
escapes.
tonight. I mean, have you
Oh,
seen
no.
the lineup?
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
These whiskeys
Oh my
are going to be.
God.
We had a great night last night. Totally sold out.
Mm.
Oversold, actually. It sounds like tonight is going to be the same. And these guys squirreled away the 2021 Ferio Tego Limiteds in order to use them for this event. But it's 4 expressions of Dalmore, really out of sight.
Right.
We did an event years ago with Nat Sherman with Dalmore, and
Okay.
it's, they have their cigar malt, of course, which is great
Yep.
for cigars. But this one, I think it's the 12-year, a Portwood cigar malt, and I forget what the 4th one is. But last night was a preview, good audition,
And a reasonable price.
yeah.
I mean, come on, $40? I won't tell anybody. Guys, it's $125. So,
Really exceptional. But you know what? These guys, Corona. I've known Jeff as long as I've been in the business.
Right.
Not quite true, but I've known him probably 20 years.
Right.
I've always admired what he did, and now we've worked together over the years. But I've never, in all the years that I've known Jeff and Corona Cigars, I've never had the opportunity to do an event with him. It just never,
Right. It didn't
timing
work
wise,
out.
didn't
Right.
work out. And so this one, he came in, supported Ferio Tego right away before we even launched anything. He reached out and said, "We have your back 100%."
That's awesome.
Placed the orders, brought in the products, and then said, "Okay, we have it everywhere. We really want to do something special. When are you available?" And I said, "Look, you did your part. It's my turn to do mine. You tell me when, and let's go." So now we're doing 3
Awesome.
events, 3 cities, 3 nights, back to back.
It's a tough job.
Worth it.
Tough.
Absolutely. worth
we were at PCA last year, and we saw your booth. We were there.
To call it a booth is generous. Our station.
That's
We saw you standing there.
No cigars, which is great. I mean, but listen, people know who you are.
Yeah.
They're not going. You're not
If
going to
they
put your
don't, they
name.
certainly
if they
did
don't,
then because I had
they
nothing to
did
do but tell my story.
But they knew that anything that you were going to stand behind,
Yeah.
was going to be a product that was going to be outstanding.
It was I've been going to that show since 2003.
Right.
And it was the greatest show I have ever done. And it sounds ridiculous because I had
low stress.
I had no yeah, right. I met all my expectations.
Right.
But you know what was great about it? It obviously was not plan A to be there with nothing.
No,
But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And for 3 days, our booth was filled with people
Yes.
who were either A, saying congratulations, B, just learning about it and getting caught up. But it was an incredible 3 days of what felt like just endless support. And
Exactly.
there's nothing more encouraging when you have just gone literally all in
On a
this
limb.
industry
Right.
in a pandemic.
Yeah.
To at least have people coming over and saying, we wish you the best. This is our contact info. We want to set up an account. When you're ready, we're ready. Like that kind of reassurance over and over
Speaks volumes.
Was
It
incredible.
really does.
I mean, and following Michael, seeing his pictures. Let's face it, you're photogenic as hell. Unlike
only this side.
you look at us, we have faces made for radio, but we actually are on. You can see us, which is scary. But
It adds to the thrill.
It adds to the thrill. It does add to the thrill. But seeing you take beautiful pictures, you really do, and of not just yourself. I'm talking about the things that you cover in your stories.
Yeah.
And they tell a story. So it's the perfect pairing of who you are and how you represent yourself out there.
I've been fortunate that I've been young enough to follow social media in a way that I'm comfortable participating in.
Right.
Participating in it. and yet I've been around the industry long enough to have a bit of tenure,
Right.
but with a slightly younger mindset. And I
Right.
think that's given me some level of advantage to kind of pick up and play as it's evolving.
Right.
But now I find I'm getting older, and so as like some
You're
of
like,
this
wait, I
new
gotta
stuff
try
is
to keep
coming, I
up.
was
I'm
like,
like,
hold on. What do you mean reels? Now I got to do 7-second videos. Like I don't understand it.
I got
Now-
to do TikTok. I mean,
so
I got
I
to
can
deal with all
now. I
this.
realize like I'm starting to turn into a dinosaur over here.
Well, no, the dinosaur is over there.
Oh,
He's the true dinosaur. That's what I call him.
But I have always tried to just. I mean, now I have a brand that's mine, right?
Exactly.
Before this, I worked for Nat Sherman for almost 10
Right.
years. I worked for Davidoff for almost 10 years before that. And I've always played in the social media world, but just to kind of advocate for industry and for what I'm doing and sort of what I'm doing day to day. And as that story evolves and as I kind of get better at framing the story,
Right.
while I think it has worked to the benefit of the platform,
Right.
in fairness, it's also worked a bit to the detriment of first impressions, because you have a lot of people who are forming an opinion
Right.
based solely on what is now a very curated,
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
presentation of who Michael Herklots is,
Right.
which for many years was just a white guy in a suit in Manhattan, which
And it
does
was-
not resonate with a lot of
people. Right. Right. And listen, I mean, Nat Sherman, that was truly.
Well, it was an institution in New York. I
Right.
mean, I, from the 60s, I used to go there every Saturday. You know, that was like
Special
one of the
place.
things I did. It was Nat Sherman, of course, Dunhill, and
The Tiamo stores were everywhere, too.
well, they were a dime a dozen. They were on
They
every
were
back
block.
then. Back then,
But Wally Frank's was there. They had two places down on Church Street. Then it was
Yeah.
in Midtown. I used to go to Midtown
you had
store.
Barclay Rex there too.
Yeah,
in
and
Midtown.
Wilkie
Pipe shop.
on Madison. Yeah, I mean that was my Saturday.
Great.
Just go from store to store.
This
Thank
is
you.
the Elegancia.
So this is what we're going to do with the official pairing
Nice.
with the four
Perfect.
flights.
Perfect.
There's Elegancia and also Generoso. So you both have the Elegancia in front of you now.
Mhm.
And these are both the 2021s.
Okay.
2022 will actually be released hopefully May. They've been made. We're just waiting for final banding and now boxing, but everything is done and ready.
Nice.
But same idea, 6x50s, travel
Okay.
humidors of 10,
Right.
with these two very unique expressions. Elegancia from Dominican Republic,
Okay.
Connecticut Ecuador wrapper, Dominican binder, Nicaragua Dominican fillers. This cigar for me, this got #1 cigar of the year by Cigar Dojo.
Awesome.
It's
Wow.
got massively rich body
Okay.
in a very graceful and elegant profile of flavors.
Gotcha.
And it's not so difficult to create a profile of flavors that are elegant and graceful.
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily difficult to create a blend that is full in body,
Right.
but it is difficult to create that gracefulness of flavor in a mouth-fillingly full body.
Right.
And that's what
It's
we
a-
have achieved here.
It gets a
Beautiful.
little bit more difficult. So that combination, that Connecticut is where it's giving you that roundness. No.
The real creaminess
Okay.
is the combination of some of the Nicaragua, which is from Jalapa,
Okay.
and then some of the fillers from DR.
Okay.
There's some older tobaccos that are stronger, and there's then some younger tobaccos that are just slightly lower on the plant, and
Right.
that creates this really viscous kind of mouthfeel,
I love that.
kind of like this.
Yeah, where you start to salivate
Yeah.
and boom.
Now the other one, Generoso, is all Nicaraguan filler binder wrapper from Honduras, and that is, rich, fudgy, savory flavors, but the body, though full, is equally creamy in mouthfeel as Elegancia. And so again, to create flavors like that from Nicaragua, I'd like to think that ours is a unique expression,
Right.
but to do it in a body that is truly creamy and viscous and syrupy, to
Right.
create that feel is very difficult.
Right.
So not to pat myself on the back, but shit, I got to tell you, we
But
did
you
a hell of a good job. And,
I'll do it for you.
and,
How's
the, and the
that?
Generoso, as a matter of fact, was number 3 cigar by Cigar Dojo.
Really?
So
there
we
you
took
go.
number
1 and
1
3.
and number 3 in 2020.
Wow.
And that's
Beautiful,
called right
man.
out of the gate.
Yeah.
6 months out.
6 months out of the gate. So
You've earned your place.
Well,
You have.
thank you. Now we have to prove it. Now we have
I
to
think
we
you
have
have.
to earn keeping it.
keeping it is the tough part, right?
Yep.
I mean, because obviously I was seeing a lot of your posts at the factory. You're right there involved. It's not
You
like
bet.
you're detached from the.
No, but let's face it. I mean, I spent many years with Nat Sherman, being in the farms, being in the fields, creating blends, working together. But the ability to do that in the same way as we were building FerioTego was absolutely impossible.
Right.
And so credit where credit's due, it was the commitment of the manufacturing partners, Quesada in Dominican, Plasencia, Nicaragua, Davidoff in Honduras, where they said, we got you. Don't worry.
We have your back.
We will do it. We know the work. And so we were shipping. I can't tell you how many samples were flown first class, back and forth to be able to check and compare and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, tweak, send it back. But we started, really, we announced it January of 21. But
Right.
really, we started the work end of November 21.
Okay.
Just as the factories were closing, just letting people know what we were doing and can we count on them when we open. When they opened in January, we got to work immediately. We started production. We didn't even know what we were going to sell or how we were going to sell it.
Right.
And we said, their first question was, what's your route to market? And we said, no idea. What
We'll
I do
figure it
know
out.
is when the cigars are ready, we'll have figured out how to sell them. But we need you to start now.
As long as they're good, they'll sell.
And every manufacturer said, we got you. We'll start production. Like, how many do you need?
That's
I really
amazing.
don't know. They said, great, we'll start.
That's amazing. I mean, that's a gamble.
That's a gamble.
But that is really, in a time when not a single factory needed another order.
Well,
because they
the boom,
couldn't even
right?
produce.
They couldn't even produce.
Couldn't catch up.
How on earth could we deliver in October when there were back orders in every
Right.
factory? The only way that happens is we were put in the front of the line.
Right. You were given
That's unbelievable.
front row seats.
Unbelievable. And I think that's because they believe in this as much as we do.
Right.
That we've
Great.
worked together for so long. We've helped each other. We've been honest with each other. We've kept each other's interests. No one tried to beat each other up. We have worked to build Timeless and Metropolitan together since 2011.
Right.
And now there's an opportunity for it to live on. But in order to do it, we have to do it together.
Right.
And everyone is on board.
Do you see any problems now because there's a lot of political issues in Honduras?
Yep.
Do you see any issues with that as we go forward?
There have always been political issues in Honduras and Dominican, Nicaragua, particularly Honduras and Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Right.
The good news is, as a gringo brand owner that lives in the United States, that is much less my problem.
Right.
I know.
Just like I don't know how
But
to
you got to
make.
get product.
That's true. But just like I don't know how to operate a factory,
Right.
I also don't know how to operate politics in third world countries. The good news is, the people who have been there for generations,
They know how.
they know how.
Yes.
And so as long as they can manage that and make sure their people are safe and their products are good, and they're working together with the government in a way
harmonious.
that is thoughtful and for good of their people,
Right.
that's why we also pick
Beautiful.
great partners.
Yeah.
Right. That
And
is
I
the
can't
key.
think of any 3 better partners than Quesada, Plasencia, and Davidoff.
People who are
industry
above- and above
top
board,
shelf
above
in the
board,
industry.
yeah, honest. Yeah, they're not going to
advocating for their people and for their country and for their products.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great story, and
It
like
really
I said,
is.
I think the success of any cigar brand begins with the story, because that story helps generate the interest. Obviously, followed up by a great product.
Yeah.
A story in and of itself is just that.
When I got to Nat Sherman in 2011, we were coming up with what the plan would be to help kind of resurrect and reintroduce the premium cigar business. And I remember walking through the townhouse, and they had all these great pictures and all these great, articles and nostalgia, just
Right.
everything that took you back to 1930. And I remember we met up in the conference room at the end, and I said, there's not as big a problem as I thought, because you are you have what brands pay
Oh,
millions of dollars for to create,
Yes.
and we have it. We just need a better way of telling our story.
Right.
The story's already done. We're as authentic as it gets. Let's just catch up telling the
Right.
story as
Right.
we reintroduce the story with new cigars like Timeless.
Right.
And it worked, it worked amazingly well. And it's interesting now, Ferio Tego is very much a startup.
Right.
But there is this still storyline that goes back to 1999 when I started.
Right.
And now some of that storyline goes back to 1994 when Metropolitan was introduced.
Right. Because
That wasn't Ferio Tego's story, but it's now part of this overarching story. And so we have, even
so
though
you were
we're
given the rights.
a
to-
company that's 6 months old with a legacy that dates back to the cigar boom.
Right. Right.
It's pretty cool.
That
It
is.
is
I mean,
cool.
that's when I started smoking cigars in the 90s during that boom.
Yeah.
And that's where, I worked in New York City and I would go to Sherman and, it became part of my routine.
Yeah.
And now having a second boom, I think this boom is so much better for the industry because it involves more women who are smoking, literally, culturally. You
Yep.
have diversity in the industry. The boutique brands, the startups, the folks who are pushing the envelope, creating blends that are very unique.
You had a mature industry without a mature infrastructure in the first boom.
Right.
Now you have a much more mature infrastructure to deal with the second boom. And the boom is not just going this way in price, which ultimately became accessibility,
Right.
but the boom is going this way in volume.
Volume.
And not just the top, but the bottom. And that is so much more inclusive.
Yes.
And the greatest thing to happen to that boom, though, is in the first boom, the boom happened socially
Yes.
because you could smoke everywhere.
Absolutely.
This boom happened in a moment where everywhere one could enjoy the very product they loved,
You could
vaporized.
vaporize, exactly.
And what that did was it not only modified the behavior of how people purchase
Yep.
and the time they spend with it, but it changed their consumption because I don't know anyone today in New Jersey that does not have a heat source outside.
Right.
2 years ago, very few people did. But once you change that ability to consume where you live, which never existed,
Yeah, it didn't.
once we get on the other side of this boom and people go back to their cigar bars, which you see happening now, and they go back to the places where they always loved to enjoy cigars,
Yes.
they still long to enjoy where they enjoyed cigars during the shutdowns.
Yeah. Right.
And so now there is literally twice the opportunity for consumption,
Right.
which makes me think that this boom will not end the way the last boom did.
No, where it just
This is
literally
just going to be a little wave, and
exactly.
But
I agree
we're in-
totally.
we're in great shape as
Oh,
an industry.
COVID was probably the best thing that could have happened for the cigar industry when everybody was
crazy
able to
way.
sit
God
home.
forbid.
I know,
and-
but it was crazy.
But it's true. You're
It was
sitting home now.
crazy.
You can smoke in your home or wherever you want to. Work from home,
I
so
think
you have
for people-
opportunity to smoke all day.
For people who take a glass half full approach,
Right.
I think we will look back at this pandemic seeing what we learned in a favorable light and how we are better
Yes.
having come through it.
True.
The reality is a lot of people are gone in those 2 years,
Oh, sure.
whether
Yeah.
it's their lives, whether it's their business.
Businesses,
And so
which is a tough one.
some
to
people may
swallow.
have a different approach. But
Right.
where I have less sympathy is for the people who sat and did nothing
right.
during those 2 years,
Yes.
but complain and say it's not,
It's not
fair.
fair.
Because it was a level playing field for all of us.
True.
We all got hit,
Yes.
but some looked at it as an opportunity on what can I do now? How can I pivot? How can I change? How can I think differently? How can I make this? How can I make the best of this situation? And for those people, and it's a lot.
Oh yeah.
I think we are stronger for it, and I think
Absolutely.
because we're stronger, we're better for it.
I think
agree.
you also have a more educated consumer now.
Yep.
People before, you smoke your cigar, you enjoy it, and that's it. You didn't really get into the specifics of the industry or become acquainted with the leaf that you're smoking. Nobody
Right,
really
nobody
cares.
really-
Now everybody's so into what kind of leaf is it? Where is it coming from?
But
What
the
kind
other
of-
thing is, so a lot of that info was out there, but you also had all of the experts home for a year with nothing to do but stuff like this.
Yes, exactly.
And then
So-
you had more and more people create platforms like
Right.
this. And so suddenly this access to expertise became just so wide because everyone was looking for something to do.
Exactly.
So I think to your point, people were educated before, but just the depth of knowledge and the breadth of outlets has, for those who care.
Right.
There's a lot of content out there.
Absolutely.
That's why I
Absolutely.
think this is stronger and it's going to last long.
It was
There's no
it
doubt.
was the very beginnings of really social media. The internet was kind of like, hey, I look up Wikipedia or I go to some, and try
Web
to get
crawler,
web
meta
crawler.
search.
It was like,
Yeah.
it wasn't accessed easily. And now you have an abundance of
Well, you have all this information at your
But
fingertips.
what I will
That's the
say
thing.
is, despite what's out there, I feel very fortunate that I still learned. I started in 98, 99. And so it was the infancy of bulletin boards and those types of things, and Cigar
Right.
Aficionado's website, and
Yep.
whatever. But I was still forced to learn face to face with a tobacconist, with a brand owner in a shop.
Right.
And nothing can replace that.
Nothing.
No.
Because the reality is, if you are willing to invest your life into an industry as opposed to your 3 hours after work doing a
Right.
blog,
Right.
you are going to get a much more focused, fact-rooted education
Without a doubt.
than you will online from self-appointed experts
Right.
that have decided that they've graduated to the level of expert.
Right.
So as much as there is to learn,
There's a ton more.
I have to say that for places like Corona, where you have not just Jeff and his family that have put their life on the line, but every man and woman who works here,
right?
They are as invested,
absolutely,
with their time and with their passion as anyone else. And instead of self-proclaiming your expertise, ask a question. Speak to the
Absolutely.
people who are there, because you will learn something new. Even if you know a lot, you will learn something new.
It's interesting.
Never stop learning. That's key.
But I think sometimes in the world of internet experts, there is a moment where people feel like they automatically move to teaching. And I think that's problematic.
That
Because
could be.
as I've been now 22, 23 years in
There
the
he
industry.
is. We have to get. We have
I'm
to get.
teaching.
We have.
I mean,
to get,
I'm learning. I'm not teaching. I'm learning.
We're going to get you on here.
I think
I'm
what's
gonna,
sad is that Nat Sherman closed, though.
Well,
that was a sad
Oh,
thing. I
absolutely.
couldn't believe it when I heard that news.
There
I
is
said,
Ben. We're going to get him on headset. We'll put him
Here,
on.
I'm gonna swap out,
Okay,
and you can
perfect.
jump in.
All
I will
right,
tell you
buddy.
just a note on Nat Sherman. Obviously, that was not the plan. We
No.
tried to sell. We had parties willing to buy. It was only COVID that made the ability to sell that enterprise just impossible. And so, as much as that was not Plan A, and
Right.
we were devastated not to successfully transact,
yeah.
had things not gone so poorly,
I mean,
FerioTego would not exist.
I'm sure the overhead for the location.
Well,
was a unique
Manhattan
challenge.
Well, Manhattan rent, why? That's nothing.
A unique challenge.
Had to be unreal
I know.
because nobody was bending on price.
No, of course not.
There was
now,
no bending.
now they will because everybody's running out of New
there.
York. But
Right, but that's the thing.
But it was an institution. It was there forever. And when something like that closes down, it's a sad moment.
But I'll tell you what was awesome was having the responsibility, the privilege, the honor to kind of author the last sentence, put the period, close the book, and make sure that it happened in a very dignified and respectful way. So no one can look back at Nat Sherman and ever say that it closed because the brand died. It closed because of this or because of that we
No
did something
negative
wrong.
things there.
It
No.
closed because of circumstances beyond everyone's control, and it died with dignity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's if there is any light at the end of the tunnel,
Hey,
I think it's that. And now here we are, FerioTego, and we get to carry on the legacy of at least the brands that we worked so hard to build.
Exactly, which is awesome.
It's a good thing, man.
I can't thank you enough.
No, man.
Oh,
this was
Thank you,
awesome.
buddy.
Thank
I'm
you
so glad we made
much.
it happen. I'm
Yes.
sorry I was
Are you
late.
still in New
Oh,
York?
don't worry.
I'm in Jersey.
He's in Jersey.
Close
You're in
enough.
Ridgewood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Close enough.
Ridgewood, I love
Yeah,
I
that.
it's
like
great.
Ridgewood.
Yeah.
That's
Great
place.
tobacco shop in
Oh,
town.
yeah.
Richard
Excellent.
Tobacco.
Yeah.
So I'm a lucky man. Now I'm going to go smoke cigars and drink scotch.
There you go.
Sounds good, man.
See y'all later. FerioTego.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Oh, and of course, guys, I mean, having Michael here is a honor. And as always, he is a man with incredible knowledge, super nice,
And quite a vision.
and quite a vision.
I mean,
exactly.
to achieve
We're
what
gonna
he
grab
did
Ben.
in the period of time that he did it in,
Absolutely.
I think it's
We're gonna
astonishing.
go. We're gonna go to commercial break. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
let's
get
do
Ben
that.
back, and we'll be right back.
This industry is steeped in family and tradition. You know, there's generational stuff, and I see it over and over, and yet I didn't come from that. Being the outsider looking in, I got to ask all the silly questions, and people were very accepting to want to give me all the right answers. I'm very thankful for those people who kind of allowed me to come in. Now with Alec and Bradley in the business, to have our company become generational, that's pretty cool.
Cigar in the Bottle is 2 palate-pleasing gifts in 1. A specially blended Grand Pommier XS VSOP cognac is elegantly contained in patented numbered bottles. Winner of back-to-back medals at the LA Spirits Awards, Cigar in the Bottle inventor Forbidden Johnny teams up with Vartan and Hendrik Kellner for this custom-blended Vartan Reserva cigar, well-preserved in a hand-blown glass chamber featuring Boveda 2-way humidification.
This is Phil Morgan, General Manager of Missouri Meerschaum Corncob Pipes in Washington, Missouri. Our mission since 1869 has been to produce great smoking pipes that anyone can afford. We guarantee our pipes won't be your most expensive, but they just might be the ones you smoke the most. At Missouri Meerschaum Company, we don't just sell our corncob pipes, we grow them, make them, and smoke them. Missouri Meerschaum, Washington, Missouri, since 1869.
At Norwood Royal Cigars, we have the biggest walk-in humidor in the Midwest. Our 1,500 square foot humidor is home to almost 4,000 different cigars that will meet the need of any cigar enthusiast. We have boutique blends to the more traditional selections and everything in between. From the novice beginner to the aficionado, the knowledgeable staff at NRC will find the perfect cigar for you. Located on the northwest side of Chicago, we want to be your shop for all your cigar wants and needs. As always, at Norwood Royal Cigars, light it, smoke it, love it.
Years in the making, the Chief cigar was born, blended, boxed, and released to market on June 26, 2015. This cigar was developed by former fire chief, firefighter, cigar aficionado Ken Dorbecker, and has grown into a signature Firehouse cigar line. All engines respond. Including, of course, the Chief, a Nicaraguan Habano blend, Proby, a Connecticut Shade blend, All Hands, a Maduro Mexican San Andreas box press, and the brand new Fire Pole, a beautifully crafted San Andreas Habano barber pole. Join the Chief family and make us part of your humidor.
You guys are back.
Yeah, and we're back.
Here we are
with Ben Boice. Am I saying that?
You got it.
All right, from Dalmore.
How we doing, guys? It's a pleasure to have you.
Welcome.
Definitely. Pleasure to meet you. Tell us about the whiskeys that we're going to be drinking tonight.
So we're going to be trying four of our whiskeys. We've got 10 whiskeys in our core collection, everything from 12 all the way up to our 25-year-old. This is going to be about really introducing our newest beautiful whiskey on our market, which is going to be our Dalmore 12 Sherry Cask Select.
Nice.
Now, we've had a 12 since 1880. So now that we've got another 12, 150 years later, we got our second edition here. Our biggest concern was whether or not it would kind of, really kind of take some from the other. But in this case, we're looking at two distinctly different sherry finishes. So they are two very different personalities. So our original 12-year-old is aged in bourbon casks for roughly around 9 years. And then we do what we call a finesse. We take the actual whiskeys, we batch it, we take half the batch, we leave it in bourbon casks, we take the other half and we put them in exclusive selected casks. In the case of the original 12, it's going to be 30-year-old Matusalem Oloroso sherry casks that we get from Gonzales Villas. In the case of the new 12-year-old, we're going to take 9 years in bourbon, but then we're splitting it up into 2 different batches. One batch goes into Oloroso, the other goes back into Pedro Jimenez. Also, one of the big things that Dalmore is so famous for is about its boutique, its bespoke, its lifestyle. So we're not really going to be the biggest producers in the market, but we don't necessarily need to be the biggest producers in the market. So about quality over quantity and transparency. So we're using 3 different cooperages from Spain, where we're actually working with Cerveza, we're working with Paez and Yacima. Each of these different cooperages have a pedigree of just quality. So we've coopered 3 different types of casks, all seasoned outside in different areas in Spain. And then we're seasoning them with 8-year-old Oloroso and 8-year-old Pedro Jimenez for roughly around, I'd say a little bit between 8 and 12 years.
Nice.
From there, we're taking the whiskeys and putting them in these casks to really give it that final finesse.
Okay.
So
I'm just curious, where do you get your bourbon barrels from?
you know, it's there is one specific source that we've used a lot over the last, I would say, 30 years, Heaven Hill. Is it 100% what we use? It isn't, because when it comes to bourbon casks, it's about the quality of the stave more than it is who's the actual producer of what the actual whiskey. Because it's graded in multiple different thicknesses of the actual stave, the quality of the actual wood. Like, that's more important to us than the actual name itself.
Okay.
But that's also why we work with some of the most exclusive secondary people in the market. So like Gonzales Villas Sherry, W&J Graham's Port. We're looking at Chateau Marbouze. We're looking at Chateau Latour. You know, some of the biggest names in the industry, we're using those casks for our final finesse.
Excellent. And I've done a pairing review article on the Dalmore cigar malts.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you could pair that whiskey with just about any cigar.
That's the whole design.
I mean,
behind
it's
it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a unicorn. At least this is what I say from Richard Patterson, who's our master blender. I mean, he's a legend in the industry. I always call him kind of the Picasso of the whiskey world, because he can take flavors and paint a portrait like nobody else in the industry. When he decided to make these cigar malts, it was back in the 80s when he was doing a lot of presentations. He'd finish up, he'd go sit down for a nice smoke at the bar when you could still smoke inside at your everyday bar.
The good old days.
Yeah. And inevitably somebody would see him and want to send him a drink. And they would send over the peatiest, smokiest, heaviest whiskey they can find, because they're thinking smoke. Well, let's get a little bit more smoke. Last time I checked, spice is not like mathematics. 2 negatives don't make a positive by any means.
Right.
So when you get spice and spice, it's just going to overpower.
Exactly.
Right.
So when it comes to
smoke on top of smoke.
Yeah, exactly. And whiskeys as a whole have always had a challenge with, it's a love-hate relationship with cigars. Like, if you get a whiskey that's a phenomenal whiskey, maybe it's a little bit tannic, but then you get a heavier cigar, it's got a little bit more spice behind it, it's going to be a terrible combination.
Okay.
You got to find that right balance. Unless you know what you're looking for on both sides, whiskey and cigars, it can be a challenge. So when he designed the cigar malt, he wanted to go after, well, let's see, who really enjoys spirits with cigar smokers than anybody else?
Okay.
Rums, cognacs. So when you nose this one, it has a bit of a rum characteristic on the nose. It's like honeysuckle, orange blossom, super sweet on the actual nose. On the palate, bone dry, where you're going to get a lot of that ginger, getting a lot of that white pepper characteristics. But then at the finish, you're going to get that slight tannic that turns into that ting that you get in the back of your cheeks. And you start to chew a little bit. Gives you that salivation.
For me, I get like that orange zesty on the cigar malt, which would go well with, for me, just about any cigar.
Yeah. When I think of cigar malt, the easiest way I think about it is maple syrup and pancakes. I know it sounds weird, but like when I have that whiskey, it reminds me of just like that smell of sweetness on the nose, but then you get that dryness of the actual pancake. So, I mean, for me, that's like breakfast in the morning.
And how long have you been working for Dalmore?
Going on 6 years now.
6 years?
Yeah. So I represent the brand and other brands with Whyte and MacKay. So we're looking at Jura, which is an island-style whiskey. We've also got Fete Karen, Tom de Volin, John Barr, Shackleton, which is one of the best stores in the whiskey industry. So I think I've got the pleasure of working with some of the most unique brands in the whiskey world.
That's awesome. And the location of the distillery?
So we're looking Highland for Dalmore specifically.
Highlands.
So just outside of Inverness, just north.
Okay.
We're looking just before Invergordon, so about 10 miles north.
Okay. And your favorite Dalmore expression?
Oh, you know, it's like saying, what's your favorite cigar? Or
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
What's your favorite child? You know, it's like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bottle too, man.
I mean, you know up here exactly which one's your favorite kid, but you're like, I love you all equally. So normally, I actually get that question a lot. My answer usually is up in this politically correct. I'll say, you know, do you want it neat? Do you want it on the rocks? Do you want it with a cocktail? You want a cigar? You want it with food? Is it hot outside? Is it cold outside? You drink it with friends? You drink it with people you don't like? Like, these are all relevant questions. It's true. I mean, same thing with cigars. If you're with somebody you don't want to like, you want to have a good cigar, good whiskey, just
absolutely.
To kind of balance it out. But the one for me, like, and every one of the whiskeys has their like definite spot where they have their strengths.
Sure.
But in my case, when I'm looking at Dalmore as a whole, which one never disappoints, the one I always know is reliable, like that I can always count on no matter what situation, it's the Dalmore 18.
18.
Yeah.
I haven't had it. I really enjoyed the 15.
15 is fantastic. That's our house style. Like
Is that the Portwood?
No, Portwood is its own.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying Portwood tonight. So
I've tried the green box 15.
That's 15.
Okay. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah, that reminds me of like holiday season every single time I drink it because it's just cinnamon, nutmeg. Reminds me of like pumpkin pie. You get like even a little bit of what in Scotland they call it fruit pound cake. We call it fruit cake here.
Okay.
There it's good. Here it's not so good. Mm-hmm. But you're getting like that candied fruit on the back end.
It's like Christmas in a glass.
It really is. It really is. So if you're feeling down and you want to get the holiday season spirit going, drink a dram of the.
And the casking on the 15.
So 15's 12 years in bourbon casks. Then we split it up into 3 distinctly different rare casks. We're looking at Methuselah Moloroso, those 30-year casks we use on the 12. Apostoli sherry casks and Amoroso sherry casks. Each of these are all part of the Solaris system. So the very bottom barrels is where we're actually selecting these from.
Okay.
They're going to be anywhere between VOR or VORS, so very old rare sherry or very old sherry, which is going to be a designation by the Consegue and Reitered on age specific. So minimum 20, minimum 30.
Mm-hmm. And
what's the difference between that and the 18 now?
18 is going to be 14 years in bourbon. Now, remember when I was mentioning the 12-year-old, we do a bit of a split?
Yeah.
18, we do an entire finish in 30-year-old sherry casks.
Oh.
And it could be anywhere between 4 and 6 years. So, you put that number together, it's 20. So why don't we have 20 on the bottles? Because legally, it's got to be the youngest age is on the actual bottle if it's an age slate.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wow. Yeah. And I hear a lot of great things about the King Alexander.
Oof.
Let's talk about that bottle. I haven't tried it. It's a lot of my budget range, but I hear amazing.
There's a lot of hints here.
I know. Like, so how you doing? I'm Ben. Nice to meet you. Let's get together later. We'll talk. King Alexander's special. I mean, if you're looking at the history of Dalmore, history of Scotland, history of the Mackenzie clan, like this is the culmination of what Richard Patterson really wanted to do when he made King Alexander. So it goes back to a legend, back to 1263, King Alexander III, which when you're looking at his history, he reigned for about 55-ish years. He took over as King of Scotland at the ripe old age of, I think, 8 years old. So he was he was thrown right into it.
Okay.
But he was famous for a number of different things. One, he united Scotland as a whole. Like he got all the clans under one kind of umbrella, which helped to kind of secure the borders. Because if you're thinking like Orkney Islands and the island region, it was back and forth between raiders and different types of different countries, different clans that were always fighting against each other.
Yep.
So he united the country under one kind of flag. He also was very famous for being kind of the last legitimate king in Scotland before the English kind of took over, started to meddle in English politics. That's the politically correct way of me saying that. So
that's very political, yeah.
And the way you're saying Scotland is a little different than what you or I would how we pronounce it.
So
you've obviously been there.
I've been there many times.
Yeah, so you're saying it a little different than I'm from Chicago. You're from New York. You're definitely going to say it a little different.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Scotland.
It depends. Like over COVID, every morning at 9:00, we got on our big call, and it was video chat. So it's 3 Scotsmen and me for the entire year and a half of COVID. So it was just like nonstop. Like I learned so many bad words. It's not even fun. It was fantastic.
Well, you always learn the bad words in any language.
Exactly. And then you go on from there. But if you go to Scotland, they'll say Scotland. Just like
Okay.
if you say, you don't say Gaelic, you say Gaelic.
Okay.
So just some of the phonetically correct ways of saying
Right,
some of the
right,
keywords
right.
that we use a lot
And,
in Scotch whiskey.
and just the
tastings.
names of the distilleries. We always botch them here in the States, of course.
Well, I mean, like, we'll say Dalmore. But if you go to Scotland, they'll say Dalmore. They'll put
Okay.
more of an emphasis on the second half.
Okay.
MRE. It's just little things. If you listen to Richard, he'll say that a lot.
Okay. And you've obviously met the nose.
He's a legend. He's
Yeah.
a legend. I've had the pleasure of working with him, I think, 7 times now. In my short tenure with
Yeah.
Whyte and MacKay. So it's been great. It's like working with the best. Well, it really is working with the best in the industry.
Right. Yeah.
So-
He's hilarious.
He is. He is.
Yeah.
His tasting techniques, which you won't see me do tonight. I won't do any of the over the tongue, on the tongue.
Yeah.
But
We're not
he's,
just going to be throwing whiskey around
yeah.
the room.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be throwing glassware on the ground and saying you're using the wrong glass. I learned real quickly in Florida, especially. It's like, you know what the right glass is? The one that's in your hand.
There you go.
Right. He's got that funny.
Yep.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's his thing. He's been doing
Yeah.
it for 50 plus years. So
Yeah. He's excellent. I'd love to meet him.
well, we
Yeah.
actually have. I don't know the next time he's actually coming to the States, but we also have his number 2, which is going to be. You're going to see a lot more of him coming to the States. His name is Greg Glass. Absolutely, just brilliant young man. He's in his mid-30s. He started his whiskey career working with John Glaser, which over at Compass Box. So that was the
Okay.
way that he learned. He learned
Okay.
about blending before anything else.
Wow.
So all those habits of like traditional techniques that John kind of
Mhm.
pushed out the window, Greg learns from his kind of like his level of
Right.
making whiskey for whiskey's sake, making great whiskey because it's great whiskey.
When did he start? At what age?
Greg Glass?
He's 30 now? I mean,
I would say we'll say 18.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Wow.
Scotland, so.
Wow.
Okay.
So, but he was one of the first hires that John Glaser made when he left
Yeah.
Johnny Walker to start Compass Box.
Maybe the
So,
next David Stewart.
You never know. You never know.
Is he still working at the distillery?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, he and Richard have they're like neck and neck. So Richard's 54 years, and I think David Stewart's right around 53 years with Bob
Okay.
Haney.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, it's those guys. If you look at the style and techniques that they actually use, and the flavors and the expressions they produced, you notice they're very similar. They're actually very good friends.
Okay.
They've actually
Excellent. Yeah.
bounced ideas off of them quite a bit. Their kids know each other. Like they're like family.
Right. And before you jumped on, I was talking about people overlook the blends. You know, like your Compass boxes and stuff like that, because they want to go right to the single malts. Don't overlook those blends because you got a lot of excellent blends hitting the shelves.
I would agree. You know,
especially
one of the,
from Compass box.
You know, we're also in this is a whole nother podcast by all
Yeah.
means, but like we're starting to see blends in the United States finally, where you know
Right.
different type of bottling groups are getting together, buying casks, making their own blends, and putting out their own whiskeys in the U.S. It's an art, and a lot of people
It's a
do
skill.
not
It's a-
do
yeah,
not
it's a-
give it the credit that it
Yeah.
deserves.
Yeah. And the casking on the King Alexander.
So we're looking at 18 years in bourbon. From there, we'll split it up into 6 casks. We're going into Madeira, going into Marsala, 30-year-old Methuselah Oloroso Sherry. We're going into Colheret port casks. We're going into first growth Bordeaux, and then also a small batch bourbon. So
Wow.
all separate, and then right back together again in what they call a Insuit cask, which is a resting cask. So it's going to be, people ask all the time, like, how old is this whiskey? And I'm like, don't worry about how old it is, because it's about when it's right and it's when it's ready. Because I've had some 6-year-old whiskeys that are just absolutely to die for. And I've had some 30-year-old whiskeys that I'm like, yeah, no.
Right. It's all about when that distillate peaks in the barrel.
Exactly.
And that's a skill too.
It is.
You know, because you're going to try it and you're going to say, you know what, let it ride. You know, let it ride. Or, yeah, this is good to go.
Well,
It might be only 12 years old.
Yeah.
It tastes better than a different 30-year-old expression.
And this is how Richard got his nickname, because he was going in there at 2 months, 4 months, 8 months, year, 2 years. Back in the 1970s, when everybody was putting whiskey in barrels and just leaving them there, and then coming back 2 years later and seeing how they're changing.
Yeah.
But it's like raising an infant. You know, you don't want to leave it alone. You want to nurture it. You want to bring it to life. You want to see what personality and how it's changing. It reflects in every single whiskey that Richard does.
Yeah, and the Marsala cask.
That sounded interesting. I was going to ask about that.
Oh,
That's-
man. Yeah,
Marsala
we had a Glenmorangie Tale of Winter.
Mhm.
It's finished in a Marsala wine cask. And just an incredible scotch.
You don't see it too often, and the
Yeah.
few people you're going to see it are the legends. Like Dr. Bill Lumpson is a legend. You know, he was the first really kind of like food scientist to come into the whiskey industry, kind of change the way of that dynamic of like you start off in the barrel house and you work your way up. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it brought in science and it brought in more of a like an analytical approach to
and just experimenting with that core range, that 10-year-old classic Glenmorangie, and just throwing it in different types of barrels
and just going from there.
There's a Star from 2017. I don't know if you ever had that. That's probably one of my. That's probably one of my favorite. It's just it's bourbon cast. It's a non-age statement, but it's kind of like the 10-year on steroids. You know, probably just coming right out of the cask. You know.
Wow. I gotta give it a
try. Back to that King Alexander, just 6 different casks.
6 different casks. Now, at the time, it was the only whiskey in the world that had 6 distinctly different casks. There's a number of different whiskeys that'll have 5, 6, 7, but a lot of times they're going to be reflections of either a first fill or second or third fill of that same style of cask.
Okay.
So in this case, it's all different flavors.
And the total age on that bottle?
I've got it on good authority and from people that I know they're paid much more than I am and know much more about the whiskey. That it's anywhere between upwards of the 20s, and it ranges because again, when the whiskey's ready, it's ready. It could be the higher end of the 20s, the lower end of the 20s. But it just really depends on.
And that would be the job that I would want to just try the different whiskeys right out of the barrel.
You and me both.
Yeah, you could just. You don't even need to pay me. I'll just be at the distillery sampling the different whiskeys out of the barrels. Can you imagine? You ever had a chance to do those, like just sampling right out of the barrel?
Yeah. So I've done that a few times. I did that at Jura and at Dalmore. Just exceptional. Jura especially because it's crisp, it's cool. It's you walk into those warehouses and it's right on the edge of the ocean. You're getting that sea breeze on your face.
Right.
And you're pulling it right out of the cask, and it's usually some sort of finish. It's either going to be an Oloroso finish or a red wine finish. 7 Wood, which is one of my absolute favorite whiskeys. You're looking at 6 distinctly different new French oak species.
Okay.
Kind of all kind of spread out, brought back together. So it's really like a melting pot for experimentation. So you get to try some really fun stuff at Jura. If you ever get a chance, you need to go there. It's like
I feel like Jura doesn't get the credit that it deserves.
I think in U.S., yes. Now we're working on that, but I can tell you, last year Jura was the #1 single malt by volume in the UK.
Oh wow! Okay.
#1, so bigger than Glenlivet, Glenfiddich, Glenfarclas, any of those brands that are bigger brands.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny how people, whiskey drinkers in different countries go nuts over certain distilleries. Yeah. I got a lot of friends in Canada, up in Winnipeg, and they go nuts over Campbellton whiskeys.
Yeah. I mean, it's that salinity and sea breeze.
Yeah, that Campbellton funk. It's not necessarily peat, but it's like a musty funk.
I was talking to a colleague today. I'm like, I could do a dossier or like a whole lecture on the difference between peat and salinity because they're 2 different things. People confuse them a lot, but that funk and smoke, 2 different things.
Right. Yeah. And are you into the peated?
Oh, I love all whiskey.
Okay.
I'm an enthusiast first and foremost, and then I just get paid to drink my favorite whiskey.
And on the bourbon side,
love bourbon as well.
Which distilleries are you lean towards?
There's some classics. It's been a while since I've really dabbled into some of the small batch stuff and some of the smaller distilleries, but I've always been a sucker for Old Forester. Like it's consistent.
Yes, I have not had a bad expression from Old Forester.
No,
I actually got a chance to tour that distillery. A very cool tour.
It's pretty amazing. I've had a chance to walk through it myself, and it's like a giant cement factory.
Yeah,
but
they do everything right there in one building.
It's all digital.
You get to see them charring the barrels. There's a little cooperage right there inside the building. They got barrels aging inside the building. They do the bottling, the labeling,
all of it
right there. And then they even have that off-site cooperage where they're cranking out probably hundreds of barrels a day.
If you've never seen that, I think it's in I'm trying to think, where's it at? Is it in Louisville?
Yeah, I want to say it's literally
Louisville?
probably like 10 miles away from the building downtown Louisville.
I mean, it's one of the biggest cooperages in the United States. It's an absolutely. It's still all done by hand, like all of it, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, in tradition.
Yeah,
well, I mean, you still have your press machines and your obviously you're not doing you're not stoking your own fires. It's all done by gas fire.
Right,
I've had a chance to go to Devesa in Spain and see the cooperage there, and everything is in a big stone floor, and you got these massive holes and these big fires that are just burning. They're throwing wood in there constantly. Wow. And then when they need to turn it on, they open the air and the flames just through the actual barrel. It's amazing.
And that's what fascinates me the most about both whiskey and cigars is the process.
Yeah.
The process that goes into these expressions that you're sipping out of, just incredible. And the laws surrounding how these whiskeys are made are different, obviously, with the bourbon. I feel like the bourbon has the most laws surrounding how it's made compared to like Scotland or especially Ireland.
I wouldn't say they're more strict. I'd say they're different.
They're just different.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for President Taft, we wouldn't have bourbon laws like we have today. So, I mean, that's the one thing. If you give him credit for anything, there you go. He made bourbon what it is. But, the one restraint that a lot of bourbon has in comparison to a lot of whiskeys around the world is the casks specifically. Like, the casks are going to make up 70% of the color, or majority of the time, 100% of the color, depending on where you're actually at, but 70% of the actual flavor. And if you're using only a new char American oak, it kind of limits the scope of what you can start with.
Yes.
And that's been the challenge. Like the mash bill and the water source has really been the really defining difference. And also some of the individual cask selections have really kind of made bourbon its own little kind of spectrum. But then you get to Scotland, and as long as it's an oak cask or cask as a whole, it doesn't really matter. It just can't be like in like fortified fruit, like lambics, for example, like lambic beers and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it can be in sherry, it can be in ports, it can be in mezcal casks, tequila casks. They changed these laws, the Scotch Whisky Association, about 4 years ago.
Right, and so for me, that's where I lean more towards the Scotch side because you're getting way more variety of flavors and possibilities on the whiskeys. Yeah. We're talking about, is there like 7 different regions in Scotland?
I mean, if you want to, it depends on who you're asking. So, like, if you ask anybody from Scotland, you ask any of the major producers, distilleries, they'll say 6.
Okay.
If you ask like, WSET or CSS or any of the ones that are actually the governing boards behind some of these certifications for spirits, they'll say 5.
Okay.
They lump Islands and Isla into the same category.
Okay. And maybe even like Speyside right into the Highlands?
No, Speyside's usually its own.
I
mean, it was a designation almost 100 years ago of its own kind of like, it's kind of like a Grand Champagne in the Cognac region.
And so you're getting your different water from the different regions. You're getting your different traditions on how they produce their whiskeys. Again, the process is just fascinating, and I'd love to make my way to Scotland and visit some of these distilleries.
Well, when
Dalmore,
you got to let me know so we can kind of set you up some custom tours.
I want to meet the nose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to jump on a plane and head to Vegas in late April, he's going to be at the Nth Whiskey Festival in Vegas.
Okay.
So, which is
you got to get him to come to Chicago.
He came to Chicago. Let's see. He was in Chicago with me last. Actually, this was 4 years ago. 3 years.
Okay.
No, 3 years ago.
Okay.
He came in and he went to Benny's, of course, and spent time with Brett and his team and did a big custom tasting at the Marcy Street location where they've got that big classroom area.
Okay.
But I do know if you're going to be in the Chicago area in June, we will have Greg Glass out in the Chicago market, working with Benny's, who's going to be launching. And I can't tell you this, and if you record this,
just tell us. Nobody's going to nobody will hear it.
Can't tell you anything. But rumor has it we have a new whiskey coming to the United States that's going to be a U.S. exclusive.
Okay.
So, and we're going to bring Greg Glass out to talk about this in front of consumers and everything else in June. So,
okay. And Glenn Glasgow, right?
Glenn Glasgow, yeah.
That it kind of got revived, right? It's kind of, was it mothballed for a while and then it came back, or?
I mean, anything's going to be lock, stock, and barrel in Scotland. I mean, that's why I love that term, because it's literally the stock that's been locked up, and it's the actual barrels you can kind of go in and buy and sell into.
Okay.
So you're starting to see some new distilleries that are popping up. I think there's 4 distilleries that are reopening this year, which I'm excited about. 3 of them are Diageo, and I think 1 is an independent.
Okay.
But that's what we did with Tam the Bullen. We also did that with Ferio, which is also one of our whiskeys.
Okay.
Not in the U.S. yet, but we're getting there slowly.
Okay, so you make your way out to Dalmore and you tour Dalmore. What other distilleries are nearby Dalmore to
I'd say
visit also that you'd recommend?
The closest cousin is definitely going to be Glenmore NG.
Glenmore NG.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're about a half a mile apart.
Okay.
So
yeah.
if you see one, you got to see the other, and they're both the opposite sides of the spectrum of profile. Dalmore in comparison to Glenmore NG.
Right.
Like
Glenmore NG's got like that, like the fruity, almost like a orangey flavor note to it. That's like their signature.
Yeah, they have their stills, which they call the giraffe stills.
Yes,
That's why you'll
they have the tallest stills.
Tallest 33 feet. So, and they're narrow too.
Wow.
So the distillate really has to work to get up the actual neck.
Mhm.
'Cause when you're doing that, you're going to get super, super, super light.
Right. You're getting that refraction at the top of the still, and you're getting the lightest spirit
Exactly.
coming back down.
The purest of the,
Yeah.
it's a positive and a negative. It depends on what taste profile you're looking for.
Okay.
The other side of it, you're also getting down to Dalmore, which we actually have a combination between tall and short stills, which is really, really unique.
Okay.
Nobody else in the industry actually has both. And we actually have both. So we've got a variety in shapes of the actual stills too, which make it quite unique. So we take all this different distillates and we bring it back together into a resting vat before we put it in the barrels for the final resting of 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 years or however long.
Process. That's a process.
It is a process. That's one thing that makes, people tell me all the time, why are your whiskeys getting so expensive? And I'm like, well, if I had the foresight 18 years ago, if anybody did, to know that whiskeys are, especially Scotch whiskeys, were going to do what they're doing today, I'd be a millionaire because I would have invested in the stock market. I would have had all the right leads. So, it's when you're looking at something like Dalmore, it really is a making of a masterpiece. It takes time.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
And
Patience.
Dalmore, you said, has been around how many years?
It's been around since 1839.
Wow.
So about 180 years, give or take.
And how many distilleries are up and running now in Scotland? Because I know back in the 1800s, it was probably, thousands?
Yeah, because if you're looking at the early 1800s, we see that switch. 1827, you see that, or 1824, you see that number a lot. It's because that's when distillery license number 1 was signed. I say it's kind of like crossing the picket lines. Okay. That's when they started legitimately selling whiskey so they could actually tax it at a certain percentage and then sell it internationally. So it's big business opportunities.
Okay.
So you saw a number of distilleries pop up around 1824. Well, they were operating way before that. Like, Oban, for example, is one of the oldest running distilleries since 1792, I think it is.
Okay. 1792.
Yeah, they've been running consistently that long.
And there was like a lot of hidden distilleries, right? They were operating not necessarily legally.
The original term moonshine came from Scotland. We had like 2,000 to 3,000, 4,000 different little small stills operating all over the countryside in Scotland. Okay. At night, you could see the glow of the actual stills, like across the actual horizon.
I thought that term was from
US?
here. Yeah, I thought it was developed here.
No.
For the same reason. Look in the woods. How come there's glow over there?
Exactly.
Well, that's interesting.
It's a term that we know well because we use the actual the term because you can see the shine of the moon on the actual stills.
Okay.
But then, like even on the rocks, was another term that kind of came from Scotland. They go to the River Spey, they grab cold stones out of the actual river,
right?
Toss them into their glass. You got whiskey on the rocks.
I never knew that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow.
Education here, folks.
Yeah,
you always learn something, man. You always learn something.
I'm full of facts. I know.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm a historian and enthusiast first and foremost. So.
Yeah,
cool.
And I could tell you're very knowledgeable. We appreciate that. The entire range of Dalmore.
I'm getting the time, guys.
Okay. We'll let you get to it. We appreciate
you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate the whiskey lesson that we just got.
You said you were leaving this, right?
I'll be back with more whiskey. Don't you worry.
All right.
I got to make friends everywhere.
All right. Thank you, Ben. We
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you. All right.
I'll hop off here.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I live in Chicago, and I write for this.
All right, I'm back. Even though you don't see me, I'm the voice from beyond. You see my shorts. My shorts are coming
behind the curtain.
The voice behind the curtain.
Wow,
that sounded like it would have been a great.
Oh man.
Oh, this is a great pairing. Literally
beautiful. Yeah.
Have a seat, Joey.
That was awesome.
Oh,
I
bet. I was sitting there. Well, not sitting there. I was standing there, like saying to myself, I'd like to be able to take part in that. Oh, our internet is leaving us. Oh, it's kind of in and out. So maybe people are kind of seeing us, but not. But maybe. But that's okay. The most important things were done out there. I mean, we had 2 great interviews.
Yeah.
Let's
A lot
face
of
it,
knowledge there.
Holy smokes!
Did you learn something there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was
Two terms.
cool. Scotland. That's how it was. Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Scotland.
You know, I'm from Scotland. You know, that's how I say it.
Well,
he was tripping me out the way he kept saying Scotland. He's sitting here, and I'm like, I've never heard. I gotta go to Scotland. I gotta go to Scotland and find out.
This is mine.
That's
right?
yours. Yes.
Where's yours? Somewhere. I'm going to let them take over. We're going to commercial.
Yeah, let's go.
See you in a bit. Let me get my major.
Blue Smoke Atlanta is the vision of Robin Blue, founder and CEO, and represents an award-winning luxury smoking accessory line based in Atlanta and sold worldwide. Since 2019, Blue Smoke Atlanta's goal was to redefine traditional smoking accessories into a timeless collection of exquisitely handcrafted luxury products to include cigar pokers, cannabis clips, jewelry, and other awesome things. For an elevated smoking experience, visit us at www.bluesmokeatl.com.
Before you light your next cigar, be sure to check out Cigar Medics, the makers of the patent-approved humidimeter. The humidimeter is a tool designed to display the relative humidity inside your cigar. With this device, there's no more guessing. Simply insert the probes into the foot or cap of your cigar, and you can instantly know if your cigar is ready to be smoked. Buy now on cigarmedics.com and see site for other cigar accessories. With the humidimeter, you'll know when to hold them and know when to smoke them.
Experience the magic of Rockefeller Cigars today. With 11 years steeped in tradition, passion, and mystery of the leaf, Rockefeller has a cigar just for you. Be like the greatest magicians and make Rockefeller Cigars appear in your lineup with any of our 4 lines: the Nicaraguan, the Dominican Blue, the Vintage Gold, and our new LE, the Art of Magic. DAV Cigars out of New York. Decades of experience combined with true love and deep understanding of cigars result in the highest of standard of each DAV hand-rolled cigar. Howard G Cigars is a dynamic new cigar brand grown from a love for cigar culture and a respect for the artisanship behind the craft. We are a minority-owned family business based in Orlando, Florida. Our current collection delivers 3 exclusive lines: Black Moses, Magic Stick, All Pro Series featuring Leon Searcy's signature cigar and Ike Taylor's one-of-a-kind.
You got the one-of-a-kind rankings. They got me at 89. I'm cool with that.
We are focused on evolving as a dynamic brand and bringing you new flavor-filled blends that you'll enjoy and want to share. Visit our website at www.howardgcigars.com. You can find a full list of our retail partners there too. Thank you for making us part of your humidor.
All right, we're back, everyone. The event is now really started. We're going to sign off. Thank you for joining us. Joe, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that
Obviously,
people learned something.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was an incredible amount of knowledge that went out.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Yes.
So good night, everyone, and we will see you on Saturday. Tune in Saturday around noon-ish, and hopefully we'll be able to get a signal from somewhere, from somehow. I don't know. We'll see
hope.
what happens. Hey, it's all live. You love that about us. We do things live and not Memorex. Those are the old days, Joe. You don't remember that. I'm sorry.
Is it live
You're
or
too young.
Memorex?
Live or
I probably
Memorex.
wasn't bored yet.
No, he wasn't bored. Bob was already 100 by that time.
I was using Memorex.
All right, I asked you how long you've been married. You said since '89. I was in kindergarten
when I was 80 in 1989. So Joe was in diapers when I got married, basically.
I still am,
and he still is. So signing off here from the Corona Cigar Company Montecristo Lounge here in Heathrow. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
We're going to keep sipping because we're not leaving yet. I can guarantee
we got
you
a lot
that.
more to go.
We got a lot
Oh,
more
I
to
think
go.
we're just getting started.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
Many of the cigar brands that we make, they're antique, historic cigar brands. They've been made on and off for about 100 years.
When you're smoking Toscano, you're smoking 206 years of history.
The Italians are here.
We're some reason we find a lot of Italians on this show.
Listen, I'm a Jersey guy.
Hey,
so,
hey, we won't hold that against you.
We invented this we want to give people the opportunity to smoke the cigar at the optimal level.
The Chooch cigar.
Can you believe it?
The Blanco 9 Chooch.
¿Cómo va? ¿Está bien, oye?
¿Qué dice? ¿Cómo está?
Finally, I can answer the question. Anything new?
Yeah.
And we have some cool new stuff from Olivan.
This is a passion for me. It's not a job.
Your love and passion for this is,
I love it.
unbelievable.
That's why we can make pipes out of this variety of corn.
11 years ago, I went back. I bought the rights to everything La Polina.
Sure, it's family.
And restarted the brand again as a tribute to my grandfather.
It's nice because you get to see a lot of your friends. You got to remember, I've been doing this for 30 years, so a lot of these people are like family.
Build a platform where we could celebrate boutique cigars.
Leave Starlight House Blend for one store in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Join forces of pipe tobacco and superheroes.
I always look forward to the Super Bowl events, and I always look at the trade show as just one of those things.
We're not just selling cigars. We try to live our lives, and we use this as a means to share our stories and to really create community.
Hold on, man. Wow, man, you got me.
Tell my brothers to line them up. We'll drink that whiskey from those old dirty cups. We'll toast to the present, the future, and the past. This ain't my first drink, but it ain't my last. 'Cause this world is so beautiful. I see its love come shining through. This world is so beautiful. I see its love come shining.